Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Bill English.
I move that the House do now adjourn. Mr. Speaker, it's been a long political year, and we admire the equanimity with which you have helped to conduct the business of this House. Considered, reasonable, sometimes not quite correct in your views about what's happening, but less so than perhaps other previous speakers. So thank you for your considered judgment, Mr. Speaker. Can I, along with others, acknowledge on behalf of the government the staff here in Parliament, cleaners, the security and catering staff, the library staff, the Hansard staff, the Cabinet Office, our research units, and particularly our office staff. Not only do they carry out the functions, but in my experience, these people who do it with some real cheerfulness and actually quite often kindness to politicians who maybe don't always deserve it, but nevertheless they do. And I want to thank them for those little extra human touches that they bring to the operation of the House and Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I want to acknowledge all those MPs who have joined the House in the recent general election. They'll have time over the holidays to ponder just what an impact it's had on their life, but they will find it an interesting and energising time getting back here next year. Mr. Speaker, I want to acknowledge in his absence our Prime Minister. This is a political leader who has made history this year with the strongest third-term victory of any government in the last 100 years. With his upbeat and aspirational approach, his fundamental belief in the capacity of New Zealand and New Zealanders to do better, that positive leadership through tough times has been rewarded in a way that politicians appreciate more than anyone else, and that is with a mandate to continue governing, not exactly the same way, but with the same attitude, of course, dealing with the circumstances as we now find them, which are significantly different than 2008, and also acknowledge the relentless energy and effort and cheerfulness that he brings to leading a team as well as a country. And Mr. Speaker, can I acknowledge that team, my colleagues in the Cabinet and the National Party caucus. This is a team that remains cohesive, focused and energetic. And if there's been any illustration of that, let me put to rest any assumption the opposition may be making about a third-term government running out of energy. If anything, the problem is a bit too much energy, in my experience. This is a remarkable tribute to the people the National Party puts in here, but also, more importantly, to a governing party that reflects the new energy and confidence of New Zealanders. That's what it's about. It's not as if this party's off on its own. The election campaign, the election result, was built on a New Zealand population that's become more resilient, with stronger belief in their capacity to handle both good times, bad times and good, and this caucus here reflects it. Mr. Speaker, can I also acknowledge our coalition partners? We've been had this coalition arrangement together now coming into the third term, the Māori Party, ACT and United, an open and transparent relationship which has contributed to, in fact, underpin the stability of government in New Zealand, and welcome particularly the newer members of that coalition who've joined us through the Māori Party and ACT. And Mr. Speaker, I also wanted to wish the opposition parties a happy Christmas. And the reason for that is because I've had a very unhappy year. And so I hope they have a happy Christmas, Mr. Speaker, and particularly a happy Christmas to the new leader of the Labour Party. In fact, when I was thinking about wishing him a happy Christmas, I thought, I've done the adjournment debate before, and I think I've wished the Leader of the Opposition happy Christmas before. And I thought, I better go back and just check. So here it is. Phil Goff got 3 Christmases. David Shearer, all my Christmases have come in the National-led government. Phil Goff got 3 Christmases, David Shearer got 2 Christmases, David Cunliffe got 1 Christmas. We hope Andrew Little makes Christmas. Mr. Speaker, so here's what they say about Andrew Little. This is just a bit of commentary. He's done well. He could be the goods. You'd have to concede that his shadow cabinet changes made a lot of sense. And here's another one. Little might be the man in the right place at the right time. He just needs to be competent, assured and authentic, and so far he's passed the test. Well, that's pretty positive. And I thought, well, I wonder if that's happened before. So I went back. David Shearer. His opponents are at risk of underestimating him. Behind the affable exterior and ready smile are a steel-trap mind and steely resolve. So he was good. David Cunliffe. Cunliffe delivered the wow factor. As he sat down from his first big speech, conference delegates gave him a standing ovation. So it's all been said before, Mr. Speaker. You know, it won't matter how well the new leader of the opposition does if the Labor Party doesn't change. If the Labor Party doesn't change, that is, change its policies that it's been giving us since 1996. And there's a couple of things I'll be discussing over the barbecues in the Labor Party. One is, who shot Grant Robertson? That'll be the top topic. Who was the one vote that changed, that meant that Andrew Little got 4 caucus votes when actually he was meant to get 3. That's what happened. 4 caucus votes when he got 3. And Grant Robertson and Jacinda Ardern will want to know, Mr. Speaker, the big challenge for the Labor Party, one of the challenges is unity. As a Labor friend of mine told me, Andrew Little was the last man standing in a circular firing squad. Someone missed him, and so he's the leader. But, Mr. Speaker, the Labor Party are going to have to catch up with aspirational New Zealand. This is a party who still believes parents should not know how their children do at school. They still believe that. They still believe that no asset should be sold anywhere for any reason under any circumstances. Even the Christchurch City Council has gone centre right on recycling capital, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the national government goes to Christmas on the back of a pretty good year, but more importantly, a very solid-looking outlook for the economy. 3% growth per year over the next 3 years, that's roughly where we're headed, which means more jobs, higher incomes, more opportunities for New Zealanders to get ahead, not because we're a rock star economy, but because we're a rock solid economy, underpinned by New Zealanders who understand what it takes for this economy to succeed. And we'll also be back to continuing improving our public services. The value for money from all those people who work hard all week and give us their PAYE, and it's our job to make sure there's more educational achievement, there's prisoners who come out of prison don't go back, more children protected from violence, and I want to congratulate the New Zealand Public Service. The several 100,000 of them, for 6 years they've worked very hard to produce more for the same or less. Public confidence in public services today has never been higher. Never been higher. Public servants have done an outstanding job of serving the public and the government of the day. But, Mr. Speaker, they can only do that because we have a strong economy with a well-led government, an outstanding Prime Minister and a New Zealand who wants it that way.